Hi there, it's May the 1st, and today we're continuing in the book of Judges, Shoftim in Hebrew, meaning those who put things to rights, and we've come to Judges 13 and 14. The action of the story, having been in other places in Israel, now moves to the territory of Dan, and Dan runs from the coast and in towards Jerusalem. It's about halfway down Israel, but Dan's territory is just to the north of where the Philistines are along the coast. And we read that beginning of chapter 13 that the people of Israel again went after other gods, and so the Philistines became their oppressors and ruled over them for 40 years. But then they cried out to the Lord, and the Lord is going to step in with another judge. This is perhaps one of the most famous of the judges, the one to whom quite a lot sort of space is given in the book of Judges, and this is Samson, or in Hebrew, Shimshon. And Shimshon in Hebrew comes from the word Shemesh, that means sun. And Shimshon really means sunshine or sunny disposition. So he's got a good name, but he's an interesting character, as we'll see. His birth is somewhat miraculous. His father's name is Manoah. We're not told his mother's name, but his mother has a visit from the angel of the Lord, and the angel of the Lord says to her that she is not going to be barren anymore, but she's going to have a son. The only thing is, this son is going to be a Nazarite. Now, Nazarite was someone who had made a vow before the Lord not to cut their hair, not to drink strong drink. We hear about this vow back in Numbers chapter 6. The rules are laid down for it in the Torah. And so the angel appears and tells the mother this. The mother then goes and tells Manoah, and Manoah, the husband, says, I want to see this, I want to know more about this. And so he asks for this man to come again, and he has a discussion with him. The same thing is said, but he realizes that this is an angel of the Lord, that this is not just an ordinary man. At one point he asks the man what his name is, and the man says, or the angel says, why do you ask my name? Because hu feli, he says in Hebrew, hu feli or pele. It's wonderful, it's miraculous, it's beyond understanding, it's mysterious. What's interesting about that fact is that in Isaiah 9, one of the names that is given to Emmanuel, the one who is coming to be Messiah, is Pele, which is the same as the angel of the Lord describes himself. And then almost as a proof of that, and to prove his word, he goes on to perform a miracle, and rather like the angel consumes the sacrifice that Gideon has presented earlier in Judges, so when Manoah presents a sacrifice to the Lord, the angel goes up to the Lord in the flames, and it says he performs a miracle. He performs something wonderful to show his name is wonderful, his name is amazing. And of course the prophecy of the angel comes to pass. Manoah's wife conceives, and they have this son Shimshon, Samson. Then moving on into chapter 14, Samson is now grown up. And one thing we learn about Samson is a penchant for the ladies. He has a real eye for the women. And in fact, that becomes something of his downfall, as we'll see. He's a real mixed character, Samson. He's one that God calls, is used in strength. He's this Nazarite vow he's given over to the Lord. But he also is a man who indulges his lusts and his passions and his libido quite freely. And he actually goes to a place called Timnat, which is not far from where he is, in the tribe of Dan. And he meets there a woman, we're not told her name, but she's a Philistine. And immediately his parents take issue with him about this. He's consorting with non-Hebrew tribes. He's getting involved in a pagan tribe, but he won't have it. He wants this woman, and he asks for this woman to be his wife. So the arrangement is made that he is going to marry this woman. Now there's a sub-story that goes on here, that Samson is given such a gift of strength by God. The Spirit of the Lord comes on him when he is facing a lion who comes out to kill him. And he actually, by the power of the Spirit of the Lord, destroys this lion and tears it apart. And then when he comes back a few days later, he notices that a swarm of bees has made its nest in the carcass of the lion, and he takes some of the honey that the bees have made. Now, this forms the basis of a riddle that he's going to use. When he goes to the wedding feast at Timnah to take his bride, the young men are all there. There's 30 young men there, and he has a bit of a game with them. And so he says, I'm going to set you a riddle. And if you get this riddle right, then I will give you 30 linen sheets and 30 changes of clothes. But if you get it wrong, then you give me the present. It's sort of a bit like a wager, a bit like a bet with a riddle with a bet attached to it. However, the young men can't get the riddle answered, so they ask Samson's wife, the Philistine woman, to wheedle it out of Samson as pillow talk, to get him to tell her the answer to the riddle. Which he does, being weak and when it comes to the women. And this isn't the first time this is going to be his downfall, telling secrets to a woman. And so she goes and tells the young men, and they get the answer, which is the answer to the riddle. And by the way, the riddle is, out of the eater something to eat, out of the strong something sweet. What is it? And of course the answer is the honey out of the carcass of the lion, which they answer correctly. Samson is infuriated. He destroys 30 of them. He kills 30 of these Philistine men, and he leaves the party in a huff. And his wife, the young Philistine woman, it says, is given to his best man. This is not a good outcome for Samson. It's not a good outcome for Israel. And we'll see as we go on that Samson, as I say, is a real mixed character, that there are amazing things that he does. He is a scourge to the Philistines, but also he is a real challenge to the people of Israel, because his behavior doesn't concur fully with his call as being a man of God. There's something we can learn from Samson about the openness to the Spirit of God, and the fearlessness. Being totally given is important, but we also see the mixture. We also see the just the fatal flaw that is there in Gideon. There's an old saying that what a man builds with his gift, he can destroy with his character. And Samson is a real lesson of a man who is anointed by God, gifted by God, but whose character doesn't quite match up to that gifting. Have a very good May the 1st.